first of all, happy Gregorian calendar New Year. Fun fact, for those of y'all that don't know, the New Year actually starts in spring. Do your research on that to find out a little bit why? Because think about it, nothing can actually be birthed in the dead of winter, right? So moving past that, how y'all doing today? It's a pleasure to be back with you. Y'all already know who it is on this side of the camera. It's your boy Griff. Today, candle of the evening in homage to the Godfather himself, Kevin Samuels. Fireside, it smells just like that. You sitting down, you got some music playing, something relaxing. It might have been a long week. You sitting with your boo thing, you chilling, glass of wine, right in front of the fireplace. Excellent scent. But today, I have somebody special in the seat, and he's actually kicking off the first Vibe Right highlight. He's an official athlete with the Vibe Right CBD brand, the company. I got my man 22, not 21, but 22 in the seats. You get me? My man is a mind coach. Obviously, he's an official Vibe Right athlete. He's a transformation. Well, he's actually studying to become a transformational coach and a motivational speaker. His intent is to help people open their minds to abundant possibilities, to any and everything it is that they desire internally or externally. Brother 22, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing amazing, and I appreciate the intro, and I appreciate the person who you are and the energy that you bring in. It's an amazing day, man, and I just am looking forward to being on here with you and sharing this next couple of minutes with you, man.
Thank you for your time, sir. Truly appreciate it. So let's start with the big thing first. How did you become 22? Where did the name 22 Lights stem from?
Yes, sir. Yeah, man, it really stemmed from first sports, really. That was the number I wore pretty much as I can remember from when. It's funny, you said you're in Germany right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I lived in Germany for a little bit when I was younger, from probably around like kindergarten to about second grade. And I think when I was in first or second grade, that's when I really started getting into sports. I did flag football out there. They didn't have contact football, but that's where I had, I remember I had 22. Parents got separated. We came back out here to California. And again, just always wore that number. There was something about that number, but it didn't really dawn onto me. And my dad then told me, he's like, that's the number I used to always wear. And he sent me a picture of one of his old jerseys. And so then from there there was just a bigger connection with it. Then in college, I've went through probably one of my bigger spiritual awakenings where I really, started to understand a little bit more of who I was and understanding my path and my desires. And then I always would see 22 everywhere I went. And so that's kind of where it stems from. And then the lights part of it came from, in high school, I was a shooting guard. And one of my teammates, He came up to me and said, man, he said, you shoot lights out, man. I'm going to call you Lights. And I was like, all right.
Yeah,
all right. So,
I like that. I like that.
so from there, and then now the story it really started to change into and develop into, the 22 that's in me is the 22 that's in you. So that's where it is, man.
I like that, man. You mentioned that in your college days, that's when I guess that's the beginning of your spiritual journey, right? That's when you kind of started asking the bigger questions or really seeking out those answers for yourself, the big answers that we all seek, or that I think most people in our generation are seeking today. What was the beginning like for you, understanding that you just had a level
Right.
of awareness that may have been a little bit higher than most people on the planet today, and you were just navigating your way throughout the journey, and even still to this day, because we're all navigating it through. Once you think
Yeah.
you got one level, as they say, another level has another devil. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, in the beginning of it, what did you find challenging, and how did you end up overcoming it?
I think the biggest thing that I found challenging was first really understanding that it's okay to be by yourself, because when you're by yourself, you're not really by yourself. That's when I really start to tap into, that higher self, that understanding of God or the universe, whatever that is for whoever. However, there is a struggle there because I always want to give value. Always, that's my thing. I always want to give and hope people are seeing my value. and I just didn't feel like it was there. And through that awakening period, or I feel like life is, we're all going through spiritual awakening from birth to death, but there's a point in time where I feel we all really truly get like a bigger glimpse, and we're like, man, there's more to life than just working a 9 to 5. There's more to life than just playing sport. There's more. It's all about accumulation of our experiences. And I was put into I was basically by myself for the last, it was like a week or so. Everybody's having the holidays, I was by myself, and I went through a period of time where I was really had to ask myself questions like, am I really valuable? And am I valuable in the way of what I'm already doing, and do I have to change something? And I realized I had to change a lot. I had to change a lot. So that's kind of a biggest thing for me, man, is really finding that change within inside myself.
See, you mentioned being alone and becoming comfortable with that stillness of what it's like to just sit with yourself. Ever since the whole COVID thing kicked off, man, I think a lot of people found that they created a lot of demons and monsters for themselves, and it's up to them to slay them, and only you can do that. One of the I did an impromptu show one night. I was thinking about becoming a butterfly, right? And
Right.
butterflies, they go into a very tightly knit cocoon. And I told my friend that it's tightly knit in this bitch, because like there's really no movement when you're doing the shadow work. You know what I'm saying? It's really just you. And I didn't know this, but a butterfly, when they're in that metamorphosis process, there's no way of knowing if they will come out as a butterfly or as a moth. And we know that moths are bigger, and they still have some aesthetic features to them. But ultimately, what I'm highlighting is that we cannot run from ourselves as often as we think we can. It may
Right.
seem like you're getting away with it for a little bit, until one day the universe just smacks you upside the head, and it's like, all right, it's been about 2 weeks. You still got to handle that. Now, you said
Yeah.
that you wanted this. You said you wanted this, and that I think we don't realize just how much work it takes to become comfortable with sitting with the fact that some days you might not be happy, and it's dark going on the inside, man. I like to read a lot of
Yeah.
Carl Jung and study Carl Jung, and he mentions going into the depths of your soul to find out who you are. And you did that. You said you becoming comfortable with being alone is a part of that process, because you realize that there's other entities, spirits, and guides that are guiding you, and you can only hear them if you become still. If you distracting
Yeah.
yourself and running and
Yeah.
doing and trying to stay in the race of being on this quote unquote journey, you won't ever understand it.
Yeah, man. I think that's very big time. And like how you said, sometimes when you go within, you realizing there's actually, that's where the darkness is. And I think when we could kind of take away our old uh connotations of what darkness is. Most people think darkness is bad. Darkness is where nothing, we shouldn't be in the darkness. And to add on to what you're saying is, I also was able to find that in that darkness is that I'm a seed. I'm a seed, and
Yes.
I'm just in the darkness getting ready to bloom out. But I have to be comfortable, like you said. I have to be comfortable with where I'm at right now. I have to be comfortable with being by myself, being this seed, and allow the nutrients of my external world going into the seed, where that's the soil, the water, the external world coming into me, and allowing that to attract to me and allow me to grow into who I need to become. That right there, growing into the person you need to become. And like you said, like, yo, you gotta handle this. You ask for this, but you gotta make sure you see it. What do you see? What you have? So that, man.
You also mentioned too about value and learning how to value yourself in that process of being alone, because you're a man of making sure that whatever you put out into the world, it's of value, because you enjoy helping people. That's where your fulfillment comes from. And people in our line of work, if you will, isn't it always funny that the value, like we gonna give as much love as we can, right? But when
Yeah.
you sit with yourself, it's like, do I really love me? Do I really
Yeah.
value who I am? Do I value where I'm at right now within my life? So that was something else that you went through, and I'm guessing that you're in a place right now where that you have more gratitude and self-love for who you are. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, man. I think a big part of understanding that self-love, that value, is realizing that we don't need to have external validation. I was always looking for
Mm,
external validation. I was always looking for someone else to say, yeah, you got it, you did it, go ahead. And although that is amazing and that, feels good, I think when we could come to a point and place in our life where we could say, you know what, I'm gonna do it because I said I'm gonna do it. I know that what I'm doing, not everyone's gonna be able to see. Not everybody's going to be able to see the vision that was planted in my head. And so when I go to ask for validation, I should more be looking for confirmation instead of validation. That's what I like to go by. I like to go by
mm,
confirmation, not validation. So when I have whatever it is when it comes to my self-love, value, anything that I'm going to share, when I share it, then I just, again, I look for that confirmation. There's one big thing I love to tell, everyone that I come around is always look for those stories, symbols, and experiences that are going to, again, confirm what you're going through. We're always
mm,
being told something, and it kind of goes into that self-awareness. I was actually going to ask you, you said Carl Jung is an author that you tapped into. Never, I think I've heard
mm,
of his name, but never actually tapped into something that he read.
mm.
What would you say is one of the books that you've read from him that kind of taps into what we're talking about, like self-care or love or even value? Does he talk about anything about that?
He does talk about value, but with Jung, he was a psychoanalyst, a
Okay.
psychologist. Like it's some I know he was a psychologist, but he was a specific type of psychologist. And the books that he has, one is called the Red Book, and the other ones are called the Black Books. Now these Black Books, there's 12 of them, and they're essentially his journals on his work, his studies, what he experimenting on, and things of that nature. So before you can get to valuing yourself and loving yourself, he advises people to dive deep into that villain aspect of you. Because if you don't understand that, then you don't understand the fullness of you as a whole. Think about it like this, or this is how I like to think about it. Anytime you go see a good movie that has a good protagonist and a good antagonist, let's take the MCU for an example, right? Let's take the movie The Joker. Most people can resonate with the Joker or villains, because they are in a full expression of their emotions. They're not tethered to what people are saying or what people think of them or of what society tells them they should be, because they don't live up to an ideal of how they should be, versus understanding that there's going to be some things that they do that other people won't like. But just as you just said, their vision is bigger than what Joe around the corner
Right.
may say or what somebody in the gym may say. So with Young, it's about understanding that you have a monster inside of you, something that's dark, and you have to integrate it. Otherwise, if you don't integrate it, then it can manifest itself in tyrannical ways. So we can take, for an example, this term that's going around, toxic masculinity, right? If you don't
Right.
hone, learn, develop your EQ as a man, and you just start asserting it and just saying you that guy, most people are going to say that that's toxic masculinity. But when you assert it in a healthy way, saving somebody, rescuing a dog, guiding people mentally, spiritually, and physically, that's a healthy way of asserting it and articulating it. So a young man, if you just look him up on YouTube, like some of his books are on the expensive side, but the knowledge and the wisdom that you
Yeah.
get from it is very, very deep. And it just Jordan Peterson talks about it a lot, but with Young, there's always another level. And I think it's important
Right.
that we as humans understand that, hey man, there was a point in time in hunter gatherer days where that we were animals,
We
like
had to get after it.
yeah, you had to there was no questioning or trying to map it out. Like, you had to tap into that, otherwise you died.
Man, that's powerful. I definitely have to write down, you said the red book, black book. and he probably always have some other stuff. And I think that's probably where I heard his name was from Jordan Peterson for sure.
Yeah, Carl
So,
Jung, he's the guy, like, I guess you can say, of darkness, if you will. But he
yeah,
basically, if you want to understand your psyche to its fullness, you got to go deep within. You got to go past the surface level, just as you said. Yeah.
yeah. And I want to also kind of elaborate a little bit more on how you were talking about, the full expression of the emotions when it comes to like that ability to do so. Have you kind of ever experienced that in a way where you are expressing your emotions more and on the full like spectrum, like from whether
hmm
the highest emotion to the lowest emotion?
So it's funny that you say that, because the first interview or conversation that I had with Brittany, I gave her this story because she said that she really appreciates and values me as a man and as a person, because I have a different type of energy about me. It's like I'm emotional, but I'm not. Like, I don't be crying at the function and shit. So her words, not mine. Shout
Yeah,
out to
yeah,
Brittany,
yeah.
man. Um,
Shout out to Brittany.
so it was in my early stages, I would get frustrated because I didn't know how to articulate what I was feeling.
Mm,
And that, I guess you can say, a toxic way of handling that would just be shutting down, not opening up out of not feeling safe enough to do so. Growing up in a household where children are told that they meant to be seen, not heard, type of thing, right? So it took me a while to get to a place of even speaking about the things that I speak about now in the way that I do, without being afraid of what anybody else is going to say. Because for a long time, man, I did not know how to um, articulate my emotions. And once I got to a place where that I did, I understood that the root of it was sadness and anger. And first it
uh,
was anger, and then but the foundation of it is sadness, and that sadness comes from, at least for me, feelings of being misunderstood. But if I'm not able to articulate completely how I feel in that moment, or if I'm judging myself because I think somebody is going to respond in a way that I don't like, or if I don't want them to, that's not healthy either, right?
yeah.
So I had to first allow myself to accept that, these are my emotions. We will go through them. Chemically, they only last 90 seconds, but it's still my responsibility to work through them. So once I became more confident with it, recently I had a conversation with my mother, and I told her, well, I didn't tell her, I asked her flat out, and I was like, why were you not able to give me enough love and affection growing up as a child? And that, for me, I looked at that as a test for me to be able to just have a true, honest, transparent conversation with her and explain to her how the lack of that, or so of, affected me as an adult. And her answer was just, she was in, what is it called? She was in survival mode. So she's a human too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you over time, you just become more comfortable with having those difficult conversations. But first, it starts with you, and accepting that you do feel anger, and that your emotions are valid. For a long time, I didn't feel like my emotions were valid because of the lack of affection that I received. I would always think that people pleasing is the way to go. So if somebody was mad at me for whatever reason, um, I wouldn't look, I wouldn't, how did JP say it? I would apologize even though I didn't do anything wrong. Like, logically, that doesn't make any sense at all. That's just absolutely asinine, right? But the people pleasing aspect was to keep people in a neutral state of happiness, because I didn't receive that. So that was my way of coping with it. But um I did a lot of reading at that time. I want to say that was around 2012, 2013. That's when I discovered Carl Jung. That's when I started meditating. I discovered semen retention. Um, I started calisthenics, actually. That helped me
Okay.
out a lot. Calisthenics was the beginning of my fitness journey, but I started reading all kinds of books on how to articulate myself. And over time, I got better at it. I'm not the best at it now, but even still, I work to do it. I appreciate you asking. That was a good question.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. I think that's dope too because like one of the biggest things I always share with the tribe. Shout out to the Soul Tribe. is growing at least 1% better every day, right? Growing at
Mm-hmm.
least 1% better every day. And from what I was hearing, what you were saying too is like it's about that communication. A big thing I be stressing to people as well is like words don't really mean anything. It's the people we have meaning, like
Mm-hmm.
because I could say stop, but I might mean go. I could say stop like 10 different ways, and so many different words. All the words we say have multiple different meanings by one, the verbal way we say it, the way our body language is, the
Mm-hmm.
way that we're expressing with our actual emotional field. So it's wild that you share that, because it just makes me think of that communication, not just with others, but with ourselves too. So I just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to really share that as well, because communication is definitely big time.
It is, and I find that, man, a lot of people, especially when it comes to romantic relationships, right? The first thing most people say, I guess, is because they think this is what the person wants to hear, is that, oh, they value communication, right? But what, in my experience, when shit gets real, that shit goes out the window. Like the communication aspect, like it's just not there. And then I had to sit back and think about it, and I was like, maybe this person actually does value communication, but maybe they're scared of how transparent they may be because of they may not have been in a safe space where they felt safe enough to be completely honest with themselves and the person that they were in front of, or they got judged for it, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I do think that people value communication, but I think it's only to the degree of how safe they feel. And that also
right.
goes along with, are they having honest communication with themselves? Like, are they keeping themselves accountable? Let's say going to the gym for an example, right? You and I, that shit's automatic. It's a program that we inserted in our mind on our own will to say that this is what I do. It's not something that I have to do. It's something that I get to do, and it's a part of my life. Skateboarding with you, it's it's what you do. You don't do it because you try to get attention or you try to get external validation, like how you mentioned earlier. It's just a part of you. So
Mm,
I think people, once they become more honest with what it is they're trying to communicate,
yeah,
I think we'll be okay. Because one of the lessons that I learned was that it's not my responsibility to dictate how they're going to respond. It's my responsibility to articulate to the best of my ability what I'm feeling, what my point is, emotionally or logically, preferably logically. And from that point on, it's out there. I done laid the shit out on the table as best as I could, and that's that. Now you may not like it. I could
yeah.
say it in an abrasive way, but from that point on, I did my job in that aspect. So I think that if they viewed it from that perspective, we'd be in a better place when it comes to communication.
Yeah, that it's like that self identity,
Mm-hmm.
being able to recognize that self identity, and like even understanding. I think within that communication, it comes that understanding as well. Kind of like you say, like you might not like what I have to say, but it's all out on the table. And do you understand what I'm trying to say, and not react, but more respond to what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
also, I think also it goes into understand the personnel, right? Like, do I know who I'm talking to? Because if the person that I'm talking to, if I say something, they might just, go crazy, and we might not even be able to have a conversation. It's like, all right, that
Right,
makes
right.
sense. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, and that their reaction is only due to conditionings that they've experienced growing up, right? So if you're the type of man who wants to communicate with his woman and your woman has experienced talking is like she clams up and she needs to fight for whatever reason, right out the gate is like, look, baby, I'm not even
I'm just trying to.
yeah, that's not even. I'm not trying to attack you. We're not even on that kind of time. I'll give you some space, and you can work on that, and we're gonna be okay. Like that. Then that's another thing too, man. Responding versus reacting. I like to think of it as like it's like bullet time in the Matrix. So like what?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like once you get triggered, especially when you get triggered, it's like, doof, and you have a meter, and you have to
yeah,
make you got to make a decision quickly. Otherwise, because we're humans, it's going to naturally default to fight or flight. And most people are going to fight because they think that shit, my life is in danger right now, but that's really not the case at all.
Facts.
That's not the case at
Man,
all.
I love that. I love that analogy. I love that analogy that you said there as well. Talk to me about real quick, like this might be going a little off topic, but like you said, we've flown with it. That's what I really
Yeah,
appreciate
we
about
good. It's all
this
good.
podcast. We've flown with it. So like the Matrix. What do you feel about the Matrix, man?
Which Matrix are we talking about, though? Are we talking about the
Oh yeah.
movies? Are we talking about
Oh,
we going there?
look. We could go both. Let me hear your insight on the movie, and then we could transition into life.
Okay. So with the movie, it's in my top five
Yeah.
of my favorite movies of all time. It just is. And one of the most important lessons from the Matrix, the trilogy, is when Neo tells the boy, "I didn't save you, you saved yourself." That's one of the most important lessons within it from my assertion, because he's like, "Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you." Basically looking at him, he's like, "Jesus," and it's like, "Bruh, I'm navigating this too. I'm not just out here, flying. I know 30 different styles
Yeah.
of kung fu and everything. It's like I'm still getting used to this, right?" So, and that's one lesson, and another major lesson is within the first one. Morpheus tells him, there's a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. That's a very difficult concept, very difficult concept, and I think as humans we will always struggle with that. But shifting to life, the matrix that we exist in today, um I
Yeah.
might piss some people off. It's okay
Hey.
though. Um, okay, me, I'll come at it from this angle. I remember being in church, looking around. I grew up in church, a Baptist church. I never didn't believe that there was anything bigger than me. I just didn't understand why we needed to be in that environment to tap into it. So as a kid, I would always just be looking and looking, and I'm like, what the hell is like what's going on, but what's really going on here?
Right.
And as I got older, what I realized is that there's blue pill people, there's red pill people, and there's NPCs. And the fact of the matter is that because the universe has a balancing act, you have polarity, right? There's gonna be some people that believe that that's the only way that they can get in touch with something higher than themselves is by being in that type of environment, which is perfectly okay. I'm not. It's not any shade
Yeah. Yeah.
going toward those people. It's just that maybe that is the experience that this version of them needs to have, and that's perfectly okay. Now, where it gets difficult at is when someone like you or I come along and we just start asking them questions, and it's like, okay, well, have you taken the time out to see if you can get that feeling on your own? Have you become brave enough to question why you believe that? And are you courageous enough to go and find different answers for yourself? That's the why, bruh.
Yeah.
Don't question God. That at least I can't speak for you, but that's what we grew up on in
No.
in the
Yeah.
melanated community, right? Like don't question God. And it's like, okay, but if y'all can't answer this question, somebody outside can answer this question. So I'm gonna go
Yeah.
see what's going on. So I think that right now within our generation, there's I think it's a spiritual war.
Right.
Shout out to Fight Club. I think it's a spiritual war. And I think it grows intensely by the day if you allow it to infect you. I think that you have to do more to fight against it.
Right.
As a man, as a woman, as a human being, I think that there's a lot of mental and spiritual gymnastics that you have to go through just to combat it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. There's specific things that's put out there into the media as propaganda to get you fixated on certain things that keep you there. They don't like people asking questions. They don't like people thinking for themselves. I don't, bro. Growing up, I never watched the news like that. I was like,
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't really fuck with the news like that. Like, why you don't watch the news? I just don't. I'm not watching the news. I
just not
don't
watching it.
like yeah, just like internally as a kid, man. I'm like, I'm not sure what it is yet, but I'm just not fucking with it. And so, like, as you get older, I like to pay attention to other humans, and I'm pretty sure people have this question themselves when
Right.
they have conversations like this, right? But it's a very slippery slope, and because we are living in one of the most connected, disconnected societies, I think that that's homage to the Matrix itself, because it's like how Andrew Tate said. Now that's a whole nother conversation. People in the
Yeah.
comment section and that's gonna watch this, don't just don't on that.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
not even on that right now.
We're not
But
even on.
he was very accurate when he said it. He was like, you imagine being a father or a parent. There's a world out there that's telling you how you need to be, and there's an inner world telling you how you need to be. It's very difficult to parent a child, let alone us parent yourself. Parents don't they don't train you for the part of life where it's like, oh yeah, by the way, you gotta be your disciplinarian and you gotta be the one who gives you the awards. They don't teach you about that aspect of it. And if you don't have some type of contract with yourself, you can easily fall into performing for other people, getting caught up in, I call it undergraduate thinking, undergraduate spiritual strength. You can really fall and become susceptible to it because it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And I think it requires people to develop what I like to call spiritual fortitude, because that's the only way you're gonna really be able to fight it. If you don't, bro, I go to the gym all the time, yes, but throughout my journey, like, have you ever watched The Legend of Korra?
Bro, Legend of Korra is lit.
Okay, so sorry about this.
You're good.
That's a whole, like, that whole show was a spiritual journey, and what cemented it for me was when I got to Germany, and she's doing her test in the beginning, and the
Yeah.
masters are watching her, and she's like, yeah, and they're like, mm-mm, and she's like, well, what's up? And like, you excel physically, but you completely neglect the spiritual. And she was like, I don't neglect it. I'm just not good at it. And right then I was like, this whole show is a spiritual journey. But going back to the Matrix though, man, it's like you you have to have spiritual fortitude to navigate life today. I was just talking with a friend of mine about it. We evolved so fast as humans that now we're trying to navigate, how do we maintain natural human authentic connection with this what is truly real. And is what's
Yeah.
interesting about it is that most people, if not all people, say, oh, I want something real, I want a real person, I want a real relationship. But if you get them in person, when shit hit the fan, they like, meet me, they just gone,
I'm
which is
gone.
okay.
Yeah.
It's okay, but like, I understand, man. So I hope I answered your question, man. I could talk about this shit literally
No,
for
yeah,
hours,
man.
but I hope I
Bro.
answered it.
I love it because fortitude has been something that, like, I feel like I've always been practicing, but I never really understood it until just recently, like maybe like 3 weeks ago. That word fortitude, and you just added spiritual fortitude, which is like, that's just adding some more to the whole cake that I've been really just thinking about. Because one of my biggest things, one of the biggest philosophies in life is really just to always keep pushing forward no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna get knocked down. I feel like, some people think it's cliche, like, oh yeah, think positive, do this and that. But it's like, when you really understand the power of what you could do with your
Mm-hmm.
life, like we're talking about, like, there's people in the Matrix who decide to, quote unquote, stay sleeping. They take the certain pill that keeps them, forgetting, which is okay. And there's other people who choose to be seekers, and choose to try to understand this in a whole. And at the end of the day, that quote that you said, I'm here to help myself. Right. At the end of the day, it's just me and you.
Yeah.
And it's really me. It's me and myself. And I'm helping myself no matter where I go. That's one big thing I like to look at is, when it comes to that fortitude, at least for me. And now that you had spiritual fortitude, which is just like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I have to meditate on that now. Like,
I
but
got you.
yeah. So, but having that fortitude, I love to look at everybody that I come around, and I'm like, that is just a version of me. That's either a past version, a future version, or a present version
Yes,
of myself.
yes, yes. So you develop a different level of compassion for it, right, right, right.
It's a whole different level, man. Like some people will ask you, like, ask me certain things, and I'm like, I don't see it that way because I know you're me in a way, and it's like I'm just trying to again go back into that communication. I'm just trying to understand. I'm not trying to challenge you or anything. I might ask you a question that you might get upset with, but the question isn't to make you upset. The question is to create awareness for you. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
man,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I think that came to fruition, the spiritual fortitude, with me being here in Germany, man. Because the little quotes and stuff that's on my IG, honestly, dude, I just be in my own world. Like I don't be on this realm at all. The
yeah,
majority, like 80%
hey,
of the time, I be elsewhere. And then it'll just come up and I'll put it in my phone and then I'll just save it for later, right? Um, because and I wouldn't even really know how to begin with building spiritual fortitude. I think that's where shadow work and introspection comes into play,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Going to therapy, and if most people are afraid of therapy, I've been in therapy for the last year and a half, and even then, like outside of therapy, every now and again, I'll grab my phone and I'll do like a 5 minute voice note. Say like if I don't have anybody to talk to, I'll just put my phone down and I'll just talk, right? Because when you say it, it becomes real. Obviously, and when you write it, it's real as well. But
yeah,
actually hearing yourself say it, you actually release that energy from you because now once you go back and listen to it, you're like, damn, I can, okay, I remember this and now I'm navigating this like this. That connects you to something else so that now the root of that is this. Okay, okay, we getting somewhere now.
we
We
get
getting
somewhere,
somewhere.
yo.
Yeah, so it's you really have to have a different level of spiritual fortitude, and you build it daily. Some people build it with being going through the Buddhist path. Some people build it with Christianity. Some people build it by going to church. Some people build it by just going through the shit. Everybody in them
Yeah,
went through something, and once you understand that you've gone through that and now you are where you are now, it's like a video game. That's like, okay, you get 1500 XP for that. Now you're gonna be tested again later on down the line. Will you pass? Who knows? It's gonna be that same lesson, just a little bit bigger. And are you prepared for it? Right. So we have to take all of that into account when it comes to spiritual fortitude, because if you don't have that, bro, like this body's fickle, man. It really
yeah,
is. Like you you can feel when somebody's authentic, especially when you hug somebody or you just like just
wow,
being in their energy. You like, okay,
wow,
they know, they may not be comfortable talking about their experiences, but you resonate with them on a level that says, I see you.
man.
And I
I
think
think
most
that's
people
that's
need that. I think most people need that, and like they're lacking that. That's all. You get on social media, people just trying to, they're just waving like, please, anybody. Anyone? No, not today. All right, I'll try again in like 30 minutes.
I'll tell you again. Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah.
Everybody just wants to be heard. Everybody just wants to be seen. Everybody just again, and that's another reason why, for me, I started the Soul Tribe was because of that reason of, people want to be heard. People want their value to be heard, and just be seen, just listened to, and if you again going back to that, understanding if it's a safe space, just like what you have created, on this podcast, you create a safe space, right, for people to come and share who they are and
Mhm.
get into a deep level conversation, right? That's something that's pure, man. That's something that I want to give you massive gratitude for.
Oh
It,
man,
it,
thank
it
you, thank you.
truly inspiring and helps out so many people, man. Like you probably won't even understand the amount of impact that you truly are creating in this moment right here, right now, until it happens. It's gonna be that one
Right.
day you wake up and like, man, like, and you probably already have seen it, from the very first podcast. And this is the first podcast of the year. So I just
Mhm.
can honored to be on here and share this moment with you, my brother.
Oh, thank you, man. It's funny because this was birthed in the darkness. It really was. I was thinking about it today, man. Like this podcast came out of a very, very dark season in my life. I was in a hotel losing my mind. I was
Wow.
going insane in the membrane. And like I was like, something's gotta come out of this. And so now anytime I'm going through a rough patch, I'm like, it's all good because I don't know what's gonna get birthed out of this, but something's gonna get birthed out of this, right? So I learned, which I didn't notice, but I knew this, but I didn't know how deep it went. The Soul Tribe. What is that exactly? And that's something that you created, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Going about the Soul Tribe, man, because I was doing a little bit of research today, and I was like, there's a lot of people in this tribe, and the vision that you have behind the organization is big too.
Man, yeah, man. So it's crazy how you say I want to actually change. This is one thing I've been working on myself, my self-talk, big time
Mm-hmm.
with certain words. It's not crazy, it's powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It's really powerful what you said. How this podcast you started create was from darkness, right? Mine was kind of in the same type of zone. I always was trying to do a call. I was trying to do something, and I was never consistent with it. I was never really consistent, but I just always wanted to give value and create a safe space. Um, Probably a few months went by, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And then something hit where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. Like I'm just going to go and actually do it when it comes to that self identity.
Mm-hmm.
And I changed my identity. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna do a call every single day, no matter what. And basically, the Soul Tribe is a group of individuals who like-minded people who want to grow. If you're someone who wants to grow, get at least 1% better every single day, that is the tribe for you. It's a place where it's safe, a place where you have value, you could share it, and people are always going to be able to what is the word like just again like kind of see who you are and where you're at, and be able to create a sense of community. And right now, like one of the biggest visions for the Soul Tribe, and this is something I create. I don't even know how it's going to happen. I just know it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But have a facility for the Soul Tribe, right? Over 6 different sectors right now for spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, creative, and financial.
Mm-hmm.
Those are going to be the 6 sectors. And right now, the Soul Tribe's a flower growing into a forest. So that's really what it's about. We have a whole bunch of like-minded, amazing individuals. We got individuals like Mocha, who always is sharing about self-love, someone who helped me with my self-love. Or we have people like Haas, who's able to really understand the ability to alchemize. We have people like Raj God, where he just has so much knowledge and wisdom. Right,
Mm-hmm.
I could go down a list of the people, but
That's a big
everybody
list,
in the
man. I
tribe,
was looking at it. That's an extensive list, man, of people.
man.
Yes.
And not everybody always shows up, but it's not really about like I really want people to understand that this place is always going to be here. It's not somewhere where you have to show up every single day, right? I do it every single day for the fact where if you feel like, I'm feeling down, or I need to hear something to get me sparked for today, they could come on the call Monday through Friday at 8 in the morning Pacific Standard Time, and we'll be there. And on the weekends we have book clubs and self-expansion as well, where you just go ahead and get into any activity you're doing, and we just chop it up. So, but yeah, man, thank you for asking, and it's something that I see going to be really, really big. I don't know how, but it's going to happen because it's happening
Mm-hmm.
right now.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to the Soul Tribe, man. As I was looking at, I'm like, this is nice. This is really good. We using technology for the greater good is really what's going to help us in the end. Like building as much of a connection as you can with people is interesting, right? Because people who are 6,000 miles away from you, you're talking to them through the screen, and you like, I know
Yeah.
this person. This person, yeah. Like I don't know how, but I can just feel it. Then when you meet them in person, it's like, bro, just give me a hug, man. It's been too
Just do.
long.
That's fine.
Just give me a hug, man. And
Yeah.
I think that is one aspect of social media that will help us, or that will help out humanity. Um, Shout out to the Soul Child, man. The last thing before we close out. We got to talk about it. We got to talk about the great things that's happening
Yeah,
on the Vibe Right side, man. With the
let's
hat
go.
representing, man. So
Oh, that's it. Here we go.
yeah. If for those who's listening, who's watching, right? 22 and I, we are official Vibe Right athletes, the first of its kind.
What's the con?
We the primes, right? There's a vision behind Vibe Right that's bigger than what you all are seeing and what we even see as athletes, right? So go into a little bit about when you got the call for the opportunity to be an athlete and just what
Yeah,
it's like to really represent the brand, man.
man. Honestly, I just one shout out to Brit, yo. Like shout out to
Shout
her. Shout
out
out
to
to I
Moneybags
was
and
saying,
Smokey.
Smokey. Shout out to every and to her team and everyone that really helped her get to where she was at. When I first met her, shout out to Wheezy as well. We went on an amazing hike. Right, it was Wheezy, Irma, myself, and I believe there was there was probably one more person there. I think it was Irma's cousin or something like that. And we went on this amazing hike. I didn't even know what we were getting into. I thought we were just gonna go on a hike. I met Britt, Smokey, right? And then we just were doing a little photo shoot. We had a photo shoot, which was dope.
Yeah.
And then from there, I didn't even expect anything of, becoming a part of like something like this. And I was like, man. So when she ended up giving me that call and saying, hey, would you want to be a part of this? I said, yeah, like I love being athletic. I love getting active. I was always doing stuff in high school all the way to college. In college I transitioned more into track and
Mhm.
field. That was my main thing. And now I make sure I run at least every single day, skate something. But really to be a part of it is amazing because of just vibing right. I always like to say you can't vibe right if you don't got your mind right. You know what I'm saying? You gotta
Hey,
have your mind right to get your
yeah.
vibe right. So, you
Yeah.
know, and if you vibe right, you can get your mind right. Like, so it's vice versa. And to be able to be behind a product and a company that has a vision that's already aligning with what I love to do,
Mhm.
it was a no-brainer for me.
Man, that's beautiful, man. I remember the first time I met Brittany. I met her through shout out to Alante, an amazing brother of mine. We was just at the crib kicking it, right? He invited me over because that man likes to eat. Like, he don't matter where we're at, we just gonna be eating. And she was sitting at the table, man. She was chilling, like she wasn't saying anything, but I could kind of tell like she was already like she was going she was up there. And
Yep.
and he told Brittany, he was like, I only hang around exceptional people. That's it. And she was like, all right. And Brittany's the kind of woman, she's like, don't talk, show me. Like I need to see it. So where is that? And so, he started talking a little bit about what I do, what I talk about now. That was back when I was in California. And I want to say that was like 2018. And so the legendary handstand push-up story, right? So Brown was like, Griff is he's an actual Super Saiyan. And she's like, I don't know what the fuck that is, but what's the Super Saiyan? And he was like, Griff, just go on show him, man. So I go into a handstand and I do about 5 push-ups, no wall. It's just me, middle of the floor. And
Yeah.
I came down and she's looking, she gave me like the head nod of approval.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and from that point on, I got her card, and she actually helped me out with advertising for my fitness business at the time when I was a certified personal trainer. So that's how I really got to know her, man. And ever since then, it's just been in-depth conversations here and there because she is a busy woman. She's a busy and
Yeah.
productive woman. And from then on out, man, like I don't want to say maybe I might have been low that day or that week, but she hit me up about wanting to get on a call about something. I was like, okay, this is unusual, but all right. And then when she laid it out, like even to this day, I extend nothing but gratitude to her and even all the other athletes on the team, man, because this is very, very big. Because even when I get questioned about it outside of social media, I tell people, I'm like, it's more than just what y'all see. And
Yeah.
what y'all see right now is really just like we not even like we still at the gate.
We have the
The
foundation. Yeah.
yeah, it's the gun ain't even pop off yet for starting. So it's just vibe right, stay fly, vibe high, man. That's the motto. So it's
Let's go.
we shout out to Vibe Right, shout out to all the athletes, shout out to Brittany. 22, man. This has been kind of deep initially, but it's all good though. I like it. That's me. That's me. I don't always have deep
Hey, look.
conversations. Like I actually am a silly, goofy person when people really get to know me, man. But this has been nice, man. I'm grateful that you accepted the invitation. First podcast of the year, a banger. First
Banger.
official first official Vibe Right highlight of the year, man. Is there anything else that you want to leave for the people? And lastly, where can the people find you and the Soul Tribe?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, you can find me at Instagram or pretty much I think any social media at 22 underscore lights. You also find the Soul Tribe at Soul Tribe Universe, and the soul is SOL, like the sun.
Yes,
Just to
sir.
get a little tap into a little bit
Golden.
that, just a little bit of that real quick. You guys understand the sun is a hyperdimensional gateway. That's all I'm gonna say. If you know, you know. So,
Yeah.
what I'm saying, the Soul Tribe Universe. Looking forward to everything that's gonna happen, man. And the only thing I said I would want to leave is, just keep pushing. Like, let your light continue to shine. I truly believe learning is a form of remembering. So let's continue to remember together. Let's continue to push. And like I love to say, it's a little bright over here, man. So much love.
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you, 22. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Shout out to everybody that follows, that subscribes, that shares, that comments. And by the way, like, comment, subscribe, share, leave a comment, shoot me an email, shoot him an email. If you want to come on the show, shoot me an email. You have some topics, you got some gripes, you got some complaints. Let's talk it out. Let's hash it out. I'm gonna catch y'all later. We out.